have noted or observed is that when it comes to the promotion or the development of the agricultural sector, the focus has always been on the technical aspect of it, neglecting the managerial component or the aspect of the entrepreneurial component. So the essence of this agribusiness management program that GIMPA has partnered with the Association of African Business Schools and a consortium of schools such as the United States International University in Kenya, Nairobi, Stellenbosch University in South Africa, Jomo Kenyatta University in Kenya, Nairobi, Sequoia Agricultural College in Tanzania.
Today is the launching of the Agribusiness Management Program, a program which I am involved in. And basically it's a comprehensive program that looks, which has a particular focus, on the business aspect of agriculture. That's hence the name Agribusiness. And participants will be taken through a very thorough, informative, stimulating course on the full value chain of agribusiness. And we have different aspects that mainly management professionals in agribusiness will need to be very competent in order to effectively carry out their duties.
We are very excited to have this program getting launched today, which is by the AABS, which is African Business Association, and we are trying to add value to agricultural production in Ghana.
My name is Benedicta Bamfo. I'm an assistant registrar here at GIMPA Corporate Affairs, and I'm going to be your MC for this program. This is the launch of the Agribusiness Management Program. Welcome. I would like to invite Sewa Owusu-Ajuma to give us the opening prayer.
Almighty Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the lives of everyone here. We commit this program into your hands and we pray that it will be a success. This we humbly ask through Christ your Son, our Lord. Amen.
On my far left is Professor Asenso Otre, former Vice Chancellor for University of Ghana, Legon. Next to him is Mr. Jerry Pax, Managing Director in Jaro Investments. In the middle seat is our own Deputy Rector, Dr. Nino Yashon. And representing the Minister of Agriculture is Mr. B.K. Jesse, Director of Human Resources for the Ministry of Agriculture. And the last but not the least, Ms. Dinah Hansen. She is the project director for this program. Thank you.
Bonjour and good morning. If you notice, all our signs on campus are in French and English. And the idea is to promote the French language in Ghana through our students and our participants in the various programs. I welcome you sincerely to the campus of GIMPA, and we thank you for choosing this institute as the venue for this very important deliberation. For us who dabble in the area of management education, this is long overdue, because agriculture, many people think just go and dig some soil and then plant some seeds and hope that, like the parable of the sower, depending on where the seed falls, we have some good fruits or not. At the time has come where we have to be very serious about managing the agri sector by looking at how we dovetail or mainstream agri into the educational curriculum. Legon started a long time ago, but they more in the area of the science of agri. we need to do a lot better than that in year of managing the agric sector, right from tilling the land to the processing plants. A while ago, when I was the chairman of the Venture Capital Trust Fund, we took it upon ourselves to see how we can transform the northern part of this country through sorghum production. And what we did was partner finance institutions, Technosep as the technical advisor, and Guinness as the equivalent of cocoa board. Guinness was ready to buy any produce from the farmers at a guaranteed price. And within 3 years, we were able to recruit, to increase the recruitment of outgrowers from about 2,000 to almost 40,000 farmers. And when we were thinking about going middle income, $1,000 per head, they were already doing it by 2006. So when things are done well, the results also show. And when things are done badly, of course, you reap what you sow. So welcome to this particular event. Our hope is that by the end of this session, we have educated ourselves better, we have informed ourselves better, and we carry the message to the various stakeholders down there that without agric, the human body cannot exist. Because trees are part of agric, and through trees you get your cotton. This is made from cotton. Through agric, we eat fish, cassava, fufu, which is my favorite food. So it is a very important undertaking. And as you know, cocoa is the leading sector of this country, although we're trying to diversify the economy. But for now, it is still the most important crop in the country, and it is an agricultural product. So if we do things well, we can move this country to better and further particular directions. So on this note, I say welcome to you all, and hope that by the end of the session, we will be better for it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jerry Pax is the Managing Director of Injaro Investment. He is the CEO and co-founder as well. Injaro is an agriculture capital holdings investment company that invests exclusively in agricultural business operating in West Africa. Headquartered in Ghana, Accra, Injaro's investors include world-renowned institutions such as Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, Soros Economic Development Fund, and Luden Foundation. Mr. Pikes is an alumnus of Achimota School and KNUSD, as well as a holder of Masters in Engineering in Electronic and Electrical Engineering with French from the University of Manchester, England, and an MBA from an Ivy League school, the Wharton School of Business, University of Pennsylvania. Let's welcome Mr. Jerry Pax.
Representative of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Deputy Rector of GIMPA, representatives of diplomatic missions, business leaders, representatives of NGOs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is truly an honor and a pleasure to be selected to provide a keynote address for this important occasion. I must say that looking around the room, I recognize quite a few faces, and I feel like John the Baptist giving a speech where Jesus is in the audience. I truly do not feel worthy to be a keynote speaker for this event. But probably it is a sign that we're trying to get more youth involved in issues involving agriculture. So I shall accept the honor and try to do a good job. I really hope that I can help set the tone for the discussions that we're going to have later on, so that we can really get off on a good footing for this agribusiness management program. So the lady who introduced me did tell us a bit about Ijaro, but I'll just take the liberty of giving you a bit more information. So we target opportunities along the agricultural value chain in West Africa. So quite simply, we aggregate capital from investors, which we then invest in small and medium-sized businesses in West Africa with two objectives. The first one is to achieve a financial return, because that's what investors do. But we also have the additional objective of achieving a positive social impact within the communities in which we invest. We're headquartered in Accra, but we also have an office in Abidjan. So to the Deputy Director's comment, we do function in both English and French. And we make investments of between $300,000 and $3 million per company each time we invest. And we do this normally as a blend of equity and debt. And we provide patient capital. We hold the money, we hold the investment for between 4 and 7 years. And work with the company to help them achieve their business objectives. We bring to the table patient capital and our business expertise, and we support entrepreneurs who have a strong track record and a clear strategy for growing a successful agriculture-based business. Our approach involves working side by side with them as a partner, so that we work together to achieve those objectives. Like I said, we invest exclusively in the agriculture sector. We've been focused on this sector since 2009, and we've reviewed hundreds of business plans from entrepreneurs across 7 West African countries. And we've eventually invested in 6 companies across 5 different African countries. So I'm pleased to say that these include 2 companies in Ghana, and then 1 each from Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, and Niger. At Ijaro, we are passionate about the agriculture sector and the significant opportunities it represents for economic development in Africa. And in fact, this is why Ijaro was set up in the first place. We are hoping to make successful investments, grow a successful business, in the hope that other young West African entrepreneurs will try to follow in our footsteps and also consider agriculture as a promising career path. And indeed, this is why I'm excited to be here today and to accept to be John the Baptist. And it is my fervent hope that the Agribusiness Management Program will be a significant supplier of the experienced professionals that we need to revitalize Ghana's agriculture sector. So now let's try to explore why Ghana even needs an agribusiness management program. First of all, I'm certain that very few people will dispute the importance of agriculture to Ghana's economic development. In fact, it's one of those commonly held beliefs that, or so commonly held a belief that few people even stop to ask why agriculture is important. So I shall try to refresh our memories and remind us why agriculture is important. And to do this, I quote from a book called Guns, Germs and Steel by Jared Diamond, which explores the underlying drivers for economic development and the rise of powerful nations. So Jared writes, and I quote, "The first step towards civilization is the move from hunter-gatherer to agriculture. Agricultural production leads to food surpluses, which support sedentary societies, specialization of craft, rapid population growth, and specialization of labor. Large societies tend to develop ruling classes and supporting bureaucracies, which may lead in turn to the organization of nation states and empires." End quote. This, in my view, is a long way of saying that once a country can feed itself, its people are freed up to focus on economic advancement through activities like research and development, the development of an industrial and manufacturing base, and the strengthening of government institutions. Basically, once people are fed, they can focus on nation building through value-added activities. So that's a big picture written by a very intelligent man. So let's try to bring this closer to home. According to the World Bank, 65% of Africa's population is involved in agriculture. This means that the majority of us are engaged in simply feeding the country. For comparison, the United States had around 70% of its population involved in agriculture back in 1870. By 2008, only 3% of its population was responsible for the entire agricultural output, including surpluses in the United States. So this means that in terms of our agricultural development, West Africa or Africa is roughly where the US was back in 1870. That is 140 years ago. 140 years behind the curve. So clearly, we have a significant challenge ahead of us in the field of agriculture. The type of transformation that we need is only achievable with significant and sustained effort. And our governments and donor agencies are aware of this. They recognize this already. This perspective is evidenced by the fact that a lot of priority has been given to agriculture-related development and investment initiatives. There is indeed a unanimous consensus that Africa needs to invest in agriculture. Our banks have over the years consistently encouraged our banks to lend to the sector. We have recently transformed EDIF to EDF so that the agriculture sector as well can benefit from concessionary loans to fuel its growth. Yet there seems to be a continued mismatch between the lending to the agricultural sector and the sector's contribution to our GDP. When we started out in agriculture, I used to read a publication called the Ghana Banking Survey, which is still being published today. But today, I'm afraid I have to quote from the 2009 survey because there's a certain piece of information which PwC has stopped publishing since 2009, and I'll tell you what the information is. So in 2009, in a 2009 Ghana Banking Survey produced by PwC and the Ghana Association of Bankers, they stated that agriculture contributed to 34% of Ghana's GDP, but only attracted 4% of the capital lent out by our banks. Naturally, from my perspective, it seems that certain people didn't want this information to be published every year. However, I'd like to submit that if we don't measure it, we'll never improve it. So if there's anyone over here who holds sway with PwC or the Ghana Association of Bankers, I'd fervently encourage them to start publishing this information again. It could be that they're improving, but we don't know. It could be that we're getting worse, but if we don't know, how do we even get better? But in any event, let's go back to the disparity. 34% contribution to GDP, 4% lending from the banks. Why does this disparity exist? I believe that at the heart of this problem is a disconnect between the people, the sophisticated people who run our financial institutions, and the probably less sophisticated people who today predominate in the agricultural sector. And let's take a closer look at this too. The most common reason that our banks give for not investing in agriculture is that the sector is too risky. I'm sure many people in this room have heard this statement before. It's too risky. And I must express my gratitude to the CEO of a local bank who recently made a public statement which I'm going to be able to quote today. And he expanded on the theme and suggested what could be done to help banks lend more. He said, and I quote, "Our agriculture is grain-fed, smallholder, with lack of market opportunities and so forth. Those are the issues that must be addressed. We need to have more irrigation schemes, more commercial farms with outgrowers. We can still have small-scale farmers, but they can be outgrowers around commercial farms. They can have insurance for crop losses, and they can help create marketing walls. Then banks would love to support agriculture." Actually, may I see by show of hands those who believe this banker, that the banks want to help agriculture? I see one hand up. Okay, so of the hands that I see up, if you work for a financial institution, please put your hand down. Okay, 2 hands. So, oh, 3. So the 3 hands I see up, if you work for a financial institution, please put your hand down. All right, so I can see that there's a very skeptical position in this room. Only one person believes that the banks want to help. I actually believe that the banks do want to help. I think that from this CEO statements, the banks have a series of genuine concerns which, if addressed, would enable them to lend more. I would even add that banks are already lending heavily to the agricultural sector where they see the characteristics that they like. And a case in point is a subsector which receives over $1 billion of funding every year in Ghana and has banks falling over each other to lend money to the sector, the cocoa sector. This sector is unique, I would say, in that the majority of your typical banker's concerns have been addressed. So if we work backwards from the end market, there's a clear off-taker in the form of international buyers like Cadbury's, Mars, Hershey, etc. Then we have an intermediary with good access to finance, the government of Ghana and the produce buying company. We have a well-established supply chain through purchasing agents and licensed transporters. We have a pool of experienced cocoa producers who've been doing this for over 5 decades, and they're supported by an amazing research community that ensures that they have good quality cocoa and in good quantity to feed the market. Now, this integrated value chain did not appear overnight. Indeed, it has been crafted over decades, honed by the efforts of numerous business-minded people, and I'll emphasize on business-minded people, who understood the cocoa opportunity and applied their mental faculties and creativity to profit from the sector. Cocoa shows us that it is possible for agriculture to succeed in Ghana and to attract financing, and thereby create a decent livelihood for many of our compatriots. So I'm sure the next natural question is, are there other sectors that are similar to cocoa or could become similar to cocoa? And my answer to that is a resounding yes. In my view, the reason why Injaro even exists today is that local and international investors have seen and believe that these opportunities do exist. And they're basically asking us to go out and look for these opportunities. Today, Ghana remains a net importer of many products which still rot in our rural areas whenever there's a bumper harvest. The examples of these are tomato, pineapples, oranges, chili pepper. The crops that do survive typically get exported as primary products, and Ghana loses the revenue that it could have earned from local value addition, or the foreign exchange savings that we could have earned through substituting imports. At the same time, we continue to import processed goods, tomato paste, sometimes even maize. I'm sure few people believe that maize, animal feed, and a broad range of horticultural products. I can tell you that the majority of vegetables eaten on our oil rigs and in our mining communities are imported. But we've got land, we've got water. We should be able to produce and supply these very basic products to these companies. And these examples I give are just the most obvious that we can think of. I see other business plans with new ideas which also promise the same sorts of returns. Now, even if you're not excited by these very obvious opportunities, when you look at the long term, and you look at the macroeconomic factors, there are very strong drivers that support positive returns for agricultural investments in Africa. So let's look at the demand side of the equation. Africa's population is expected to reach 1.2 billion by 2025. That means we're going to be adding 300 million more people between now and 2025, which is only 12 years away. To feed these people, Africa needs to double its food production by 2025, in 12 years. Compounding the situation, West Africa's growing middle class and urbanization is likely to drive up food prices. And I expect that there'll be even more upward price pressure exerted by the fact that outside of Africa, population continues to grow. We'll be adding another 700 million people outside of Africa by 2025. So where is all this food, all this new food going to come from to feed these new people? So the obvious question is to ask, okay, where is the arable land on the planet? Where are the countries that can actually increase their productivity to fill the gap? And surprise, surprise, Africa has 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. Our farm yields for a crop like maize, on average, are around 1.5 metric tons per hectare, compared to an average of around 9 metric tons per hectare for the developed world. So we've got the land, we've got the space to improve. We also have a low penetration of commercial and large-scale agriculture, like our banker friend was saying. So we've got all these things that we can do to fill the gap. This creates opportunity. This creates opportunity. There's a demand gap, and by closing a technology gap and taking advantage of Africa's supply of the key factors of production, we can profit from fulfilling this envisaged demand for food. So now we know that there are other sectors, other promising sectors besides cocoa. So what can we do to successfully exploit them? And indeed, what prevents Ghanaians from exploiting these opportunities? from the little experience that we've had in the sector, it is because in most cases, people do not know how to create successful agricultural businesses. The fact is there are very real challenges to unlocking the potential value of these opportunities. And I know this because this is what we grapple with every day at Injaro. The issues range from farm yields, low farm yields, bad agronomic practices, inadequate public infrastructure such as roads and irrigation, challenges with land acquisition, inadequate extension services, lack of information, lack of access to market, and all the other operational challenges that you experience by operating in a developing country like Ghana, where things just drag on and don't happen when they're supposed to. And I can give a couple of examples as well, and this one speaks more to the disconnect, or if you like, the communication gap between people in the agriculture sector and the banks. And this one is a true story. We've invested in one company where during due diligence, one of my colleagues went with the CEO to go and visit the company's banker. And as soon as they got there, the banker started screaming at the CEO. And my colleague asked him, why are you screaming at this person? He's your client, you're supposed to be valuing his business and treating him respectfully. And the banker said, well, he came here for a loan, he said he paid back in 6 months, here we are in month 10, he hasn't paid anything, he hasn't communicated with me, absolutely nothing. And my colleague said, well, I don't know why you made a loan for 6 months. The crop that you grow takes 9 months to mature. Then it will take you another 2 months to sell the thing, and maybe another month to collect the money. The only type of loan you should be making over here is a 12-month loan. And even then you should accept that probably the crop will fail and something might go wrong. And then he turns to the entrepreneur and said, didn't you explain all of this to him when you came for the loan? And this is exactly the type of disconnect that we're talking about. We have people in the agriculture sector who, probably due to lack of training or lack of knowledge, do not have the confidence to state their case strongly to a banker. And on the other hand, you have a banker who knows absolutely nothing about agriculture, apart from the fact that he can eat his banquet tilapia on a Friday afternoon. No offense intended. So this is a sort of communication gap which causes challenges when you're trying to develop the sector. There was another story that has slipped my mind at the moment. If I remember it, I'll come back to it later on. But basically, the point I'm trying to make is that it takes entrepreneurs with a deep understanding of both business and agriculture, and probably a few other areas, to identify all the challenges involved in developing an agricultural business, and to structure a business model that mitigates the risk and unlocks the opportunity. So back to the question, can we make the rest of the agriculture sector like the cocoa sector? My answer is, like Obama said, yes, we can, but only if we get a critical mass of well-trained, business-minded entrepreneurs to get involved in these sectors. Professionals who have a deep understanding of both business and agriculture and all of the issues that surround the agricultural sector. And this is why the Agribusiness Management Program is so important to Ghana. If successful, this program is going to produce the entrepreneurs, the managers, the policymakers, the bankers, and the private investors who will transform Ghana's agricultural sector into a thriving one. One that our educated youth will feel proud to be associated with. We just went through all the challenges that there are involved in running any business in Ghana. If you're running an agricultural business in Ghana, you've compounded the challenges. It indeed makes sense that we should be getting our best and brightest to be fully engaged with grappling with the challenges in this sector, because indeed this is our only hope of achieving the economic development that we want for our country. I should now briefly comment on one element of the program that I thought was very interesting. The proposed course content cuts across several domains that touch on agriculture. And I believe that this is critical because, like I've hinted at, overcoming today's challenges requires all the actors in the space to understand each other's constraints, objectives, frames of reference, etc. This means that everyone in this room, anyone in this room could benefit from taking part in the program. Whether you're in government, whether you're in an NGO, a research institution, whether you're a farmer, a banker, an entrepreneur, or an investor. So I would therefore urge you all to consider enrolling leaders and middle management within your organization onto this program. But don't stop here. Once the program is up and running, when you're next recruiting personnel into your organization, come back, come and look for the people who have been trained to understand the multifaceted issues affecting the agricultural sector. It's only by putting this human capital to work that we can enact the right policies, accelerate the right infrastructure investments, and create a more profitable value chain similar to the cocoa sector. Before I close, I'd like to commend GIMPA and its leadership for its involvement in this initiative. It is clear proof to me that this institution continues to be a pioneer in Ghana's education sector and in management education. Finally, I'd like to congratulate the AABS Agribusiness Consortium on the launch of its first agribusiness management program in Ghana. I believe this initiative addresses a core reason for Africa's slow agricultural development, which is a shortage of appropriately trained and motivated human capital in the agriculture sector, the people who can bridge the communication gap across several disciplines. I believe that this program is a seed or will be a catalyst that will blossom into a new future for Africa's agriculture. I am truly honored to have been part of this historic event. Thank you very much, AAC, and thank you all for listening.
Now it's time for a panel discussion. It's going to be moderated by Dr. Obing, lecturer at GIMPA.
Mr. Benjamin Jesse, representative of the Minister of Food and Agriculture. Dr. Ninoy Ashon, Deputy Rector GIMPA. Mr. Jerry Parks, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege and honor to moderate this special panel discussion sessions on the theme Building the Future of Agribusiness in Africa, the Role of Management Education. Since 2000, the Ghanaian economy has experienced unprecedented GDP growth, averaging about 6%. For the years 2011-2012, the GDP grew about 15 and 7.9 respectively, according to the Ghana Statistical Service report 2012. However, economic growth has been restricted to primary sector, especially oil and mineral production, but is less evident in other sectors, such as the agriculture and manufacturing, which are dominated by micro and small businesses operating in the informal sector. The Ghanaian economy continues to be challenged by high unemployment rate, as the unprecedented GDP growth in recent years has not been reflected in job creation and income generation. And according to a statement, a recent statement, I think so last April, made by the World Bank Chief Economist for Africa, Mr. Shanta Devarajan, he indicated to reduce poverty and make sure these growth numbers reflect in the livelihoods of people, government need to invest more in agriculture. So, in order to promote the growth in the agriculture sector, in my view, the role of management training in agribusiness cannot be underestimated. And this is why AAC, Association of African Business School Consortium, and GIMPA Business School Agribusiness Management Program seeks to achieve. So in the light of the above, and it appears Benedicta has really done my work for me by introducing our guest speakers for this special session. I'll just go straight ahead and maybe brief you about the format, how the session will take. Each speaker is given 7 minutes to make his or her presentation. And after that, Ms. Hansen will make her presentation. Then it will be followed by a Q&A sessions for 20 minutes. So thank you very much.
Guinness Ghana Breweries, so I work for Guinness Ghana. And I'll just give a brief on our involvement in the agricultural sector, what we expect, and then our long-term vision. I was happy that Dr. Nimoy Asham spoke about